The British monarchy is one of the oldest continuous institutions in the world. For over a millennium, kings and queens have shaped the destiny of the British Isles, surviving invasions, civil wars, religious upheaval, and vast changes in society. What began as a patchwork of small Saxon kingdoms eventually became a unified monarchy that influenced global history. This account traces that story, from the Saxon rulers of early medieval England to the reign of King Charles III in the 21st century. The Saxons and the making of England. The origins of the English monarchy can be found in the kingdoms of the Anglo-Saxons. After the collapse of Roman Britain in the 5th century, Germanic tribes established rival realms such as Mercia, Northumbria, and Wessex. Among them, Wessex gradually emerged as the dominant power. The most famous Saxon ruler was Alfred the Great, 871 to 899. Alfred successfully defended his kingdom against Viking invasions and laid the foundations for a more unified England. His successors extended control over other Saxon realms, and by the early 10th century, the concept of a single English crown had begun to emerge. Under Athelstan, 924 to 939, often regarded as the first true king of England, the disparate territories of England were brought together under one monarch. The crown, however, remained vulnerable to foreign conquest. In 1016, after years of Viking pressure, Knut the Great, 1016 to 1035, a Danish ruler, became king of England, establishing a North Sea empire. Yet Saxon rule was restored under Edward the Confessor, 1042 to 1066, whose death without an heir created a succession crisis that changed the monarchy forever. The Norman Conquest. The Norman Conquest of 1066 marked a turning point in English history. After Edward the Confessor's death, the crown passed to Harold II, 1066, but his claim was contested by Duke William of Normandy. On October 14, 1066, William defeated Harold at the Battle of Hastings, and Harold was killed in battle. William I, or William the Conqueror, 1066 to 1087, established a new Norman dynasty. He introduced feudalism, redistributed land to his supporters, and ordered the compilation of the Domesday Book, a vast survey of his new kingdom. The Normans transformed English society, law, and governance, binding England more closely to continental Europe. The Plantagenets and the growth of Parliament. The 12th century brought the Angevin or Plantagenet dynasty, beginning with Henry II, 1154 to 1189. Henry created a vast empire stretching from Scotland to the Pyrenees. His reign saw legal reforms that became the basis of English common law, but also fierce conflicts, particularly with Archbishop Thomas Becket. Henry's sons, Richard I, 1189 to 1199, famed for his role in the Crusades, and John, 1199 to 1216, whose misrule led to rebellion, left contrasting legacies. John's reign is remembered for the sealing of the Magna Carta, 1215, a charter of liberties that established the principle that the king was not above the law. The 13th and 14th centuries saw the monarchy both expand and struggle. Edward I, 1272 to 1307, conquered Wales and sought control over Scotland, but his successors faced repeated conflicts. Edward III, 1327 to 1377, began the Hundred Years' War with France, while his grandson, Richard II, 1377 to 1399, was eventually deposed, marking the turbulence of medieval kingship. The 15th century was dominated by the Wars of the Roses, a dynastic conflict between the rival houses of Lancaster and York. The struggle culminated in the rise of Henry VII, 1485 to 1509, founder of the Tudor dynasty, who ended the wars at the Battle of Bosworth Field. The Tudors and the English Reformation. The Tudors transformed England into a powerful centralized state. Henry VII restored stability after decades of war, but it was his son, Henry VIII, 1509 to 1547, who reshaped the monarchy most profoundly. Henry VIII broke with the papacy in Rome and established the Church of England, making the crown the supreme religious authority. His 6 marriages and dissolution of the monasteries forever changed England's religious and social landscape. His children continued his legacy. Edward VI, 1547 to 1553, advanced Protestant reforms, while Mary I, 1553 to 1558, attempted to restore Catholicism, earning the nickname Bloody Mary for her persecution of Protestants. The reign of Elizabeth I, 1558 to 1603, however, brought stability and glory. Known as the Virgin Queen, Elizabeth presided over the English Renaissance, defeated the Spanish Armada in 1588, and oversaw the beginnings of overseas expansion. Her death without an heir ended the Tudor dynasty, the Stuarts, Civil War, and the Restoration. The crown passed to the Stuarts with James I, 1603 to 1625, already King of Scotland as James VI. He championed the union of England and Scotland and authorized the King James Bible, but clashed with Parliament over finances and authority. His son, Charles I, 1625 to 1649, faced even deeper conflicts. His insistence on divine right and disputes over religion and taxation led to the English Civil War, 1642 to 1651. After years of fighting, Charles was captured, tried, and executed, the first monarch in English history to be publicly put to death. For over a decade, England was a republic under Oliver Cromwell, but the monarchy was restored in 1660 with Charles II, 1660 to 1685. His reign saw both cultural revival and crises, including the Great Fire of London in 1666. His brother, James II, 1685 to 1688, was deposed in the Glorious Revolution after attempts to reassert Catholic authority. The crown passed jointly to William III and Mary II, 1689 to 1702, under whom the Bill of Rights, 1689, established constitutional monarchy, limiting royal power and affirming parliamentary authority. The Hanoverians and the rise of modern Britain. With the death of Queen Anne, 1702 to 1714, the crown passed to the Hanoverian line from Germany. George I, 1714 to 1727, spoke little English and relied heavily on ministers, paving the way for the modern system of parliamentary government. George II, 1727 to 1760, expanded Britain's empire, while his grandson George III, 1760 to 1820, oversaw both triumph and disaster. His reign saw the loss of the American colonies, but also victory over Napoleon and the growth of the Industrial Revolution. George IV, 1820 to 1830, and William IV, 1830 to 1837, reigned briefly, but the monarchy was revitalized under Queen Victoria, 1837 to 1901. Her reign defined an era. Presiding over the British Empire at its height, Victoria became the symbol of stability, morality, and imperial power. The Windsors and the 20th century. By the early 20th century, monarchy adapted to a changing world. During World War I, anti-German sentiment led King George V to change the royal family's name from Saxe-Coburg and Gotha to Windsor in 1917. His son, Edward VIII, December 1936, abdicated the throne to Mary Wallace Simpson, an American divorcee. His younger brother became George VI, 1936 to 1952, who guided Britain through World War II with courage and dignity. In 1952, his daughter ascended as Queen Elizabeth II, 1952 to 2022. Her reign of 70 years was the longest in British history. Elizabeth presided over decolonization, modernization, and immense social change, becoming a symbol of continuity and duty. King Charles III and the future of the monarchy. Following Elizabeth's death in September 2022, her eldest son was proclaimed King Charles III, 2022, present. His reign began during a time of both challenge and transition. Charles has emphasized issues such as climate change, social harmony, and continuity of service, while facing questions about the monarchy's relevance in the 21st century. The monarchy today remains constitutional, with limited political power but immense cultural and symbolic influence. It continues to serve as a bridge between Britain's past and present, embodying traditions that stretch back over 1,000 years. Conclusion. From Alfred the Great's defense against Viking raiders to Charles III's efforts to guide the monarchy into a new era, the British crown has endured through war, revolution, and social upheaval. Though its powers have changed dramatically, the monarchy has adapted and survived. It remains a unique institution, a living symbol of history, tradition, and identity in Britain and beyond.